All right, my renowned fam, welcome back to the show. I am your host, Stephen Morris. I'm the CEO and founder of Renowned Leadership. And as always, it is amazing to have you all here. And I am so excited to always bring you guys amazing guests. And today is no exception. Today, I bring you Faris Aranki. He is coming to you with an amazing formula that he's developed that is IQ times EQ times FQ equals success. What is FQ, you ask? Gotta listen and find out. But this formula is life-changing. It is amazing. And I can't, wait to actually start applying it effectively in my life. And I know you'll do the same once you hear what it is. So without further ado, here's me, here's Faris, here we go. All right, my renowned fam, welcome back to the Renowned Leadership Podcast. As always, I'm bringing you the hot fire, and today I got my boy Faris hailing all the way from London, England. How you doing today, Faris?
Hey, Stephen, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm all the better for being with you and the listeners today.
That is awesome, my man. So it's funny because when I remember talking to you a little bit before we scheduled this via email. And I remember you telling me you're either Irish or English or something. I knew you lived in that region.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it today, and it's been raining cats and dogs all day. And it reminds me very strongly of just what a fall/winter looks like in London. So I hope your weather is faring much better than mine is today.
Do you know what? We have insanely warm weather here in London, probably the hottest October ever. So it's a total role reversal but we're not complaining over here. So, I'm sorry to everyone in Indiana and the States where it's raining, but here in London, come on over. It's nice and sunny.
I'll have to take you up on that because this weather sucks. I am not about this life. I want my nice weather back. But anyway, so let's go ahead and dive right in, Faris. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people who you are, what you got going on.
Yeah, I'd love to, Stephen. So I'm Faris Aranki. I'm the CEO and founder of a consulting firm called Shiageto Consulting. Now, Shiageto is the Japanese word for a sharpening stone, because effectively what we do is we go into companies and we sharpen them. Me and my team, it's all about bringing strategy and emotional intelligence, because anyone can come up with an idea, but getting people to get excited by that idea and aligned as a senior leadership team is where the magic's at. And that's what we do. So we get in the middle of teams, we help them make better decisions, or we teach leaders to do what we do. And it's super fun. We work with big corporates like Amazon and Heineken, but we also work with a whole bunch of startups, and it's a great place to be.
That is so cool. And you got this interesting formula for success that you've built, which is IQ times EQ times FQ. What's that all about?
Yeah. So I was looking for a nice way to summarize to people how you can be successful in life, right? And it's from my sort of 20 years of working in strategy for different companies. And what I realized is you need three components, right? You need the IQ, you need the great idea if you're going to be strategically successful, right? If whatever you want to achieve in life, you need the great ideas to get there. But that's not enough, right? A lot of companies or a lot of people just come up with a great idea. If you cannot get others to buy into that idea and take them on the journey with you, that's where the EQ comes in. Then you're not going to get anywhere, because it's very hard to travel alone, right? So you need the EQ to get other people excited, get other people on board. And then finally, you need the FQ, which is focus quotient. You need to be focused to work on whatever your goal is and to deliver it. And so I often tell companies it's not enough to have one of these three things, because a lot of companies go, don't worry, we've got the smartest people out there. We pay big bucks. But if you don't have that EQ and that FQ, you ain't getting nowhere. And the same, you can't just have nice people who get on with everyone. You need the great idea and the focus. And so, put those three together, then success equals IQ times EQ times FQ. And that's the formula.
You said you came up with that throughout your journey. Like how?
Yeah.
I imagine that's how you live your daily life. Like it's so ingrained into you that like everything you do is measured by this formula. You
It
have a
is.
decision to make, and then boom, this formula instantly starts working. Is it like how did you, first of all, how did you get your team? You talked about your team. How did you get your team
Yeah.
fully on board with this
With a
do
side.
you even, with the formula, do you even have a name for it? I don't know what
I
to call it.
I call it the success formula, right?
Okay.
I trademarked it as the success formula, and it's a funny story, Stephen. So I trademarked it, and I just thought, hey, first of all, I trademarked focus quotient because I was surprised there wasn't this sort of ability to talk about how focused you are and measure it. So I trademarked that, and then I thought, hey, this equation is great. Let's trademark it. And little did I know that a big multinational out of Belgium saw me trademark it, and they sent a team of lawyers after me, and they said, look, we want you to stop using this because their company was called IQEQ, and they said it's far too close to our company. And we fought a sort of 18-month battle, and it was sort of David versus Goliath. But I'm glad to sit here and tell you that we won. Sure, it cost me tens of thousands of bucks, but
Yeah.
I won, and I'm here to tell the tale. And so I'm going to use this my formula a lot. But yeah, how did I get my team excited by it? A lot of the team that I have today, they are seasoned professionals. They've been there, they've worked in companies, and they've seen what's gone wrong. And when I start talking to people about, hey, you need this and this, they go, yeah, because they always think of where it went wrong, and they go, we were lacking that. That's why this company didn't work. That's why this leader couldn't get us to follow him into battle, or and I'm talking metaphorically here, right? So they could see instantly, and they said that is such a nice way to summarize it. I love it. I can go into companies and talk about it. And you know what? I talk about that trademark battle. I actually, at one point, I thought about giving up because it was costing me a lot of money. But do you know what? I had all my clients say, hey, we love this formula. We buy into it. Don't give up. We support you. Because for us, it's the easy way to describe how you're helping us. So actually, it became sort of a thing, right? A cause. And I was so happy to go into battle and win.
Yeah, everybody's happy to win their battles.
Well, exactly, right?
But well, no, and I think that is such a great story from multiple reasons, because in that story it shows, it summarizes the formula in itself, right? You had this great idea, right?
Yeah,
You can articulate it as you've proven here today very
yeah.
effectively. I'm very impressed at how well you can articulate it. Good job, sir.
Thank you,
Um,
sir.
and then you have the buy-in, right?
Yeah,
Like you just explained the buy-in. So literally in that story, it proves that your formula works. And I think like you can't put a price tag on that when you have something that in itself proves its worth to the clients like that. That's pretty incredible, dude. That I'm a little jealous, actually.
thank you, sir. And sometimes you're fortunate, sometimes just inspiration hits you, but you make your own luck, and I'm sure you've got some great ways of explaining things and great things that you do. But maybe you just haven't thought about codifying them and thinking about sort of making them your flagship thing. But when I go into companies, I strip away stuff. I say, actually, the single greatest thing you can do for your strategy, and this is the FQ part, is do less. Do what
Yeah.
you're doing really well. Simplify it. Make it clear for all your employees. We're going to do these three things and these three things only from now on, right? Because that will help them. That will help your business. So, what sounds simple, it's like the old Mark Twain quote. I wrote you a long letter because I didn't have time to write you a short letter.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote you a nice simple formula, but that took me like 4 years, right? That's the honest truth. But you just see the nice formula and go, I
Mhm.
get it. But there's a lot of hard work to get there.
I love what you said right there, that you go into companies and you strip things away. And I find myself doing the same thing with my clients. Like we feel, and I don't, I guess I've never really sat down to try to like justify this reasoning that we have. But for some reason, especially the higher we get in our leadership journeys, we feel like we need these big complex plans, right? And we need like all these complex wheels turning the cogs, doing the things. And the more complex we get, the more insanity we induce into our formulas, the
Yeah.
more likely we are to get the wrong answer and for them to fail.
Yeah.
And I think that was a bar. Like you pretty much dropped all the knowledge we need to drop today. We can talk about football the rest of the podcast, because I mean that's so important.
Yeah.
Like, simplify everything. Whatever you're doing right now, stop
Yeah.
and simplify.
Yeah. Yeah.
And real quick, keep that thought, is that's why you can articulate it so well, is I feel like you've probably sat there and brought this down to the bare bones of what it has to be, maybe added in a little fluff to make it shiny and pretty, and then boom, you have this finished product. It's a finished diamond that you can sit and articulate. But if you had all the complexity that you could put in this formula into your system, into what you do, the insanity would be overload. You'd never get clients.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I spent 15 years in consulting firms where it was drummed into us to take, simplify your message. You may be smart, but you're even smarter if you can communicate it to an 8-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I do, right? And I challenge my teams and I challenge my clients. I say, every word you put on a document, I'm going to charge you $10,000. Right? You're going to use less words. You're going to find ways to explain stuff a lot simpler, right? When you suddenly look at a document like that, you're like, damn, man, I'm going to use it. And instantly you can take a third of the words out of anything you've ever written in your life when you start thinking of it like that.
I'm
Just
gonna
overnight.
start doing that. That's freaking brilliant, bro. Like, that is the new rule for my team and I. Like, that is brilliant. And you're absolutely right, because so much stuff we say, especially in official memos and things, like, it's all nonsense. It means absolutely nothing. And when I started learning like corporatisms and like how to work in with executives and things like that, one of my mentors, she told me, she's like, watch this. She's like, and I can't remember her term for it. She has a special name for these
Yeah.
phrases, but
Yeah.
she's like, I can tell you what they're going to say before they say it.
Yeah.
And she
Completely.
would be she would be like maybe 2 words off.
Yeah.
And it's insane, because it's all the same nonsense that means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, in many ways, I've got a really good friend who's deaf, right? And his dad made him learn to lip read.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were kids and we were hanging out, I was like, dude, this must be so tiring for you. You've got to read every word of everyone's lips. And he said, no, 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 no. I only kind of tune in like 50% of the time, because human beings are very predictable, right? They always say the same things, right? If we're talking about the weather, I know they're going to talk about the rain, they're going to talk about the sun. He said it's only confusing if they switch completely from talking about the weather to talking about their washing machine. And it was then that it clicks, is that actually we look for common patterns and we say the same things over and over, right? So actually, human beings get lazy and only listen to 50%. So you need to make things 50% simpler, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And like that little meme that goes around, I'm sure you've seen it, where it's like, the words are kind of jumbled up a little bit, or the
Yeah,
letters in the words. And it's because
yeah,
we only read like the first, what is it, the first 3 or 4 letters of a word. And our
yeah,
brain automatically assumes what that word is and we move on. So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah,
same concept, like, just, yeah, man, simplify, simplify, simplify. So, success is something I've been harping on a lot, because the world's version of success really ticks me off. It's cars, it's mansions, it's fat bank accounts, which all those things are great. I'm not against them,
yeah.
but I feel like it's got us chasing um this unattainable version of success, or not unattainable, even just it's not going to fulfill you as a person, you as an organization, or as a company.
Yeah.
So when you talk about success, what is do you help your clients actually redefine what success means to them? Because a lot of
Yes,
times I find it's completely, like, they think they know what they want, but actually what they want is over here.
it's over here. Yeah, yeah. I mean, so my equation doesn't. It all hinges upon the clients knowing what is success for them, and I say to them, I literally don't care what success is for you. So I'm not a sort of life coach but yeah, you could tell me that it's to arm every child in the US, right? I personally, I'll think that's despicable or whatever, right? Or increase sales of tobacco, or whatever. But if that's what you tell me is the thing, then I will, use my equation to help you get there. Now, I might, as a sidebar, say, like, that's a terrible vision to have,
Mm-hmm.
right? But to have no vision is even more criminal, right? To just do stuff. So many companies I walk into are just doing stuff, or even worse, they're doing stuff that doesn't equate to their vision they said they want to achieve, because too many companies just are supply driven rather than demand driven, right?
Right.
It's the difference between I ate a cookie because I'm hungry, as opposed to I eat a cookie because it just happens to be there. In fact, if I'm following that, I'll probably eat the whole packet of cookies, right? You've got to intentionally go after stuff rather than just take it because it happens to pop up in front of you. Now, a lot of companies do that, and it may sound bonkers, but that's what they do. They go, "Oh, well, we entered the US, we entered the Chinese market just because an opportunity came up, not because we wanted to, or we happened to build this product for those reasons." So have a clear vision, whatever it is. Obviously, I'd love it. It was something great and helping, I spend a lot of time there helping them, and it could take 2 weeks. I said, look, we're not going to leave this room until you have a really clear vision that you're all bought into and you can all articulate in the same way, and then boom, we can apply the equation.
Yeah, that was kind of my where I was going with that is
Yeah.
like we have this idea of what we want, but we never or we never dig deep enough to fully understand what it means. And
Yeah.
that really frustrates me from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah.
Because you've talked about a little bit. A good, successful leader is going to be very articulate. They're going to be able to take the company's vision, with that vision, create their own vision, and then communicate that vision and get their buy-in of their people. And so, if you're a mid-level manager at Amazon, right?
Yeah.
The company, you don't get to control what the company vision is, but
No.
you have to work in that realm and create your own vision,
Yeah.
which is something I work with my clients a lot on, is helping them create their own, because most of the time when you ask them, it's whatever the company uh, says that their vision should be. And so
Yeah.
I was just curious about that. And so the next
Yeah.
thing I want to dive into is the balance of your equation, right? Because
Yeah.
I feel like the balance is pretty heavy, because I'm going to try, me personally, and I know this is totally the wrong answer. I'm going to try to
Yeah.
take on all three of these things myself.
Okay.
And
Good
it's
man.
like,
I like it.
but I feel like that's pretty overbearing.
It is.
Um,
It is.
how
Yeah.
did you learn to balance it in your life?
So all of life is a marathon, not a sprint, right? The number one thing, what FQ teaches you is don't try and take on too much at once, right? So at any one point, and different things you're trying to achieve in your life, you will be out of balance in one of those three parts of your equation, right? So look at your personal life. Say you want to get fit, right? You might have all the equipment and all the ideas on how to get fit. So you're good on the IQ part, but actually you have the low motivation to do it. So you're low on the EQ part. But then maybe it comes to your job, and you're super social and you have everyone on board with your team, but actually you don't have great ideas. So in that realm you're low on the IQ part, right? In every part of your life there'll be a dimension that is the weakest, and there'll be a dimension that's the strongest. Now, what I tend to say is pick the weakest and work on it. Fill in the gaps. You'll get more bang for your buck, because I go into a lot of companies and they have great IQ. They don't need any help there. They've got loads of great ideas, really smart people working on it. But you know what? Those people are probably really terrible at articulating it to others. I've got a client. He's a fantastic engineer. He's built a company single-handedly. Built an amazing coffee machine. But he cannot talk to other people with conviction for anything. He hates it. He loves just staying in a room on his own. But now he has 60 employees. he needs more EQ. He needs to be able to walk the floor and tell them about his vision rather than sit in a dark room. So find the pillar that is the weakest in that aspect of your life. And the good news is you can develop all three of those pillars.
Right. And it just takes time.
Yeah,
Now, for your friend with the
yeah.
coffee machine, would you stray away from, or would you advise him to, while he's building that skill set, to hire somebody to kind of fill that skill set in for him?
Yeah, I would, depending on the pressing need, I'd say hire someone, offset it, but work on it yourself. And that's exactly what we did in that situation. He effectively hired me to help him communicate and sort of script all the times he needed to talk and stand behind him and say, you need to go and do this now. You need to. But in the meantime, I was fleshing out, coaching him so that he didn't need somebody to literally tell him, right, like a Cyrano de Bergerac, you're right, go do this, go do that. And he's come a long way, right? We've worked together for 6 months. He's a different person, right? He'll never be a man who naturally loves going in front of audiences and talking to them, and that's okay. But he's a lot better than he was, and he has a great lieutenant now who does a lot of that heavy lifting.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. But I think I just want to hammer home, like it is so important to never stop developing yourself as a person, as a leader.
Yeah,
Even if you can hire someone to help manage this formula, you still, like you said, you need to constantly develop your own skill set.
yeah,
And especially, it's kind of a little bit, how do I say? It's a little bit away from my philosophy. I'm more of a focus on your strengths,
okay,
develop weaknesses, focus heavy on strengths.
yeah,
But no, I totally agree. Still, you need to develop those. You need to be at least functional in the
yeah.
other skill sets in order to be successful.
Yeah, I think you and I maybe differ a little bit, but I've always had the mindset in my own personal life is to learn a little. I always say I live my life like a 1930s actor, right? Before CGI and before special effects. If you were an actor in the 1930s, like Errol Flynn, you had to learn a little bit of every skill. So if you had to ride a horse, you actually had to learn how to ride a horse. If you had to fight in a sword fight, you had to learn how to do a sword fight, right? You couldn't rely on special effects. So I like to live my life like that. I learn a little bit of every skill because I don't want to go to a mechanic and him tell me a bunch of stuff and I don't understand it at all, and he then charges me 10 grand bill, right? So I learn. I'm the kind of idiot who'll learn a little bit of coding, a little bit of each language, a little bit of mechanics, just so I can bluff my way or at least understand when somebody's talking to me about it.
I love that philosophy. I find it very fascinating because I am the exact opposite of that. I know nothing about mechanics, and it's funny because my dad is a mechanic.
All
Um,
right.
but I know nothing. I can change my own oil. I can change it. I
Okay.
can do the basic stuff like a
Yeah.
guy should be able to do.
That's more than a lot of people. Yeah.
But if you start talking about lifters and rods and stuff like that, I'm like, what? Like, so much I don't know. And but I'm okay with it too,
Yeah.
because I guess how I facilitate not developing those skill sets is I surround myself with people that are heavily developed in those skill sets that I
Yeah.
can lean on when I need to.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
And that's how I kind of manage that.
oh yeah, completely. If you keep trying to bluff your way and doing things badly, it's a bit like the first year of my company. I did my own accounts, right, so that I could learn what was happening in terms of the cash flow and everything. But then, as soon as it became too, once I'd gone through that learning curve, I got myself a good accountant, right? So now I know how to talk to them, and I know the ins and outs of my company. But I'm not going to spend day to day doing those accounts, right? That's not worth my time, and leave it to an expert.
Yeah, I do understand that, and I guess when it comes to my company, I am similar in that way. Like when it came to
Yeah.
like website design and stuff, I did it all myself initially, but I think that was out of necessity rather than want to. Um, All right, everybody, I just want to interrupt the podcast really, really quick and take a minute to tell you all about the brand new Renown coaching system. This is a system I've personally designed and put a lot of thought and effort and love into. It's an amazing system. Let me tell you real quick why it's an amazing system, because you get real time analytics. You get to see exactly where you were when you started, where you currently are, and how close you are to achieving that ultimate goal that you set at the very beginning. You get analytics for everything. More importantly, the accountability with this system is the best you'll find anyplace else in the world. I get to see everything that's going on and make sure that you are staying accountable to the goals you set. It's truly powerful. You guys just got to see it for yourself. Go to renownleadership.com, go to the top right hand corner, click book a call. You'll get to come talk to me personally, and I will personally give you a tour of this system. It is truly amazing. It's one of a kind, and it's truly, truly powerful. I'm so excited. I can't wait to show y'all. That's all I got to say about it. So let's get back to the podcast. So I mean, I just it is what it is. But
It is.
so your background is pretty extensive as well, because you've worked in education, you've worked in the energy sector.
Yeah.
Your career's taking you all over the place.
Yeah, well, it's linked to that sort of variety and learning a bit. If I take people back on my journey, so it all started as a high school teacher. I used to teach economics and math, right? So a lot of my skills today are trying to get an 11-year-olds to give a damn about math and understand it. Right? The toughest audience in the world, as I say. So by the time you get into the corporate world, it's easy, right? CEOs, CFOs, they're nothing like those 11-year-olds. So I did 5 years of that, and it took me around the world, actually, Stephen. I lived in Latin America, I lived in South Asia, I lived in the Middle East. Absolutely loved it, and little did I know I was absorbing cultures, and a lot of what I do today is culturally awareness. And anyway, once I left that, I had a period of like, what am I going to do in my life? I tried a few jobs. I tried working for the police. I tried being a journalist.
What'd you do for the police?
I was a civilian support officer. I was project managing crime here in the UK. So when crimes happen, they actually hand it to civilians to project manage, make sure there's evidence collected, make sure that witnesses are interviewed, and you see it through the system, and then you pull in police officers and forensics as you needed. So it was fascinating to learn about the criminal system and to see it from that point of view as a project manager.
That's interesting. I didn't know the UK worked like that.
That's how the UK works, yeah. In some so, but I often joke that if you ever work in a sausage factory, you don't eat sausages. Once you've worked for the police, you're like, okay, I know how it works now. So,
100%.
Yeah, 100%, right. But actually, where I ended up joining an energy company, and I worked my way through that energy company, and so I learned all about oil and gas. Big electricity, power, fascinating. And I ended up in their strategy team doing some, great work around the world, building power plants and that sort of thing. And then I got approached to join consulting. So kind of doing the same thing, but for a variety of clients as opposed to just one, staying in one company. I absolutely love that variety, and it kind of goes back to what I said about learning a little bit about everything. I loved going into companies, learning the mechanics and what made them tick, and improving that. And I did that 12 years before I got the confidence to set up my own company.
That's an incredible journey, and man, it's so funny. I didn't know about the police part. I knew about the education and energy and stuff. I didn't know about the police part. That's crazy. And I totally agree. People ask me why I hate the government so much, and it's because I worked for it for so long. Like you learn how the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I'm good. So totally get that.
Yeah.
So one of the things I want to kind of finish off with is something I know you can talk a little bit about, and that is work-life balance.
Yeah, sure.
That's such a big topic nowadays, and it kind of frustrates me. I'm really before I tell you my take on it, I'm really interested to hear your take on work-life balance.
I think it's super important, right? And it means something different to everybody, right? I come from a world of consulting, which is the same as law and banking, where the people who sign up to it, their expectations of life is quite different to somebody who just has a regular 9 to 5, right? And that's totally okay, as long as it's your choice, right? It's that magic phrase, instead of turn I've got to do something into I get to do this, right? And as long as it's a get to in your world, even if it seems bonkers to somebody else, then that's work-life balance, right? And that will change throughout your life as you get a family, as you get other priorities. So constantly check in with yourself. Are you still in the get to, I get to do this? Or is it, damn, I got to do this, and my boss has told me I got to do this, right? Because as soon as it's more days like the latter, then something's not right in your work-life balance, right? And for me, I was doing long hours. And do you know what? Actually, people don't believe me. Since setting up my company, I've worked less. I've invested in the friendships and the family and the quality time. And people think that's crazy. How can you run a small business and work less and do stuff? But it totally makes sense to me, because I don't have a boss anymore, right? I don't have a third of my time, which is what you realize, responding to what your boss or your company want you to do. That probably goes nowhere. Like, sitting on performance reviews, sitting on committees to decide what color the canteen should be or whatever, all stuff that sounds great, but just chips away at your life.
Yeah, eats your time up. Yeah, and that's actually, I'm kind of relieved, because it's similar to my philosophy on it, and that
Okay.
is, it's a myth. There's no such thing. In order for something to succeed, something else has to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Which is basically what you said. What is your purpose at this given moment? And if it's I get to, so, which kind of goes to what I'm saying of, what is your goal? What is the most important thing driving your life right now that you get to do? For me, it's my company. So my company absorbs a massive amount of my time. I'm not like you yet. I eventually I want to get to that point, but I'm not there yet. And so I know in order to get there, I do have to do this thing, which is fine, because like what you said, I never thought of it that way. But now that I think about it, my mindset is I get to do this thing, which is really awesome. And I get to build this thing and watch it grow and pour my heart into it.
Yeah. And you
As
will reap what you sow, right? Yeah. And
so
go.
I was just gonna say, I feel like a lot of people that believe they need to be balanced is where the trap is, and where they get sucked into this rat race. And I feel like if you just understand, like, look, okay, my electric bill's about to get shut off. I got to go work.
Mm.
Obviously your home life has to take a hit, like, and that's okay. You're doing what needs to be done. But I feel like because we believe it needs to be balanced, that causes emotional stress, it causes physical stress, it causes, depression, all these things, because we're chasing something that you can't actually attain. If you think about it, a tree, in order for a tree to grow, what has to give? The soil suffers greatly for a tree to grow. Do you ever notice how most trees don't have grass growing immediately around them? It's because there's no nutrients there for grass to grow. The soil got completely deprived for that tree to grow, and that's okay, right? So that's kind of my philosophy on it.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, and it's kind of linked to something we talked about earlier about vision and stuff. It's that disconnect between your actual vision for your life and what you're doing right now. I often do an exercise with particularly senior people, or anybody, right? I say, look, write down for me right now what your top 3 priorities in your life are, right? Just write them down, right? It could be health, it could be family, it could be money, whatever. And I said, all right, now the second part of the exercise is, no matter how successful you are, whatever you are in life, we all only have 168 hours in a week. So draw me a pie chart. Tell me how you're using 168 hours, right? Including the stuff like how much are you sleeping, How much are you spending time, personal hygiene? How much of your time are you spending with your family, and compare it to what you tell me were the three most important things in your life. How honest are you with yourself, right? And when people actually see this, one of two things happen. They say, actually, I'm not doing the stuff that I say is important. I need to change. Or they say, actually, I was lying to myself. I say I want family and community and religion, but actually, I'm spending all my time at work. I'm actually more driven by money, or I'm more driven by, yeah. And I said, that's fine, right? Just be honest with yourself. Don't go around writing three fake things that you think other people want to hear, right? Because you're going to lie to people. They're not going to trust you anymore. But you're lying to yourself, which is even worse.
Absolutely. Oh man, talk about driving a nail home. Like absolutely 100%. And one of my favorite things to do is I challenge people. Go pick 10 random strangers, and that they have to be complete strangers, never seen you before, just 10 random people. I know it's a little bit dangerous, but it's okay. You live in the UK.
Okay. Yeah.
So just pick 10 random people and go ask them simply, what is your purpose?
Okay.
And I am very, very generous with this number because I've done it extensively. But just to make it sound consumable, I give one person will actually give you a reasonable, good answer to what their purpose is.
Yeah.
3 people will give you a total empty, shallow answer that means absolutely nothing. It sounds good, but it means absolutely nothing. And then the other 6 will say, I have no clue. So, how can you live life going to where you want your life to go if you don't know your purpose? And there's no right or wrong answer. My purpose is different than your purpose. My mom's purpose were her kids. Us,
Yeah.
her 4 kids. That was my mom's purpose. She didn't need wealth. She didn't need money. She didn't need any of that. She needed her kids.
Yeah.
That was her sole purpose. And that's fine. Whatever your purpose is, but identify your purpose, know your purpose. And once you get your time aligned with your purpose, your success is going to skyrocket and it's going to become so much easier. People talk about how hard it is to start a company. Mine wasn't actually that hard. I mean, I'm sure it was, but it doesn't feel like it was because I love every single second that I spend doing it. So it's not even hard for me. It doesn't seem that way. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. As soon as you love it, it eliminates a whole bunch of stuff that other people go, oh yeah, actually, I really enjoy that, right? And I was going to say, as you were saying that, those numbers and all that kind of feel, it resonates with me because, when I left my company, I had about 30 people reach out to me to say, God, what's it like, from the company I just left, to go, hey, what's it like, life on the outside? And half of them wanted to hear that it was really good because they were risk takers and they wanted to do the same and they wanted to follow their vision. But the other half, which really surprised me, were risk averse and they wanted to hear it was terrible on the outside. So to reconfirm that they should stay buying into somebody else's dream. Right. And those are when you talk about those 6 out of 10 people, the people who profit off them are the companies who hire them, who go, it's great, you've got no vision because you're just going to stay here. Right. You're going to be of benefit to us because you haven't worked out yet what you really want to do.
Right. Well, the sad, I guess it's really hard for me to say this. I guess the sad part is we need, I guess there's really no way to change the mindset of those people, which is heartbreaking for me because that's kind of my goal. Like I want to change. I want to make them realize, like, dude, all you have to do is tolerate a little bit of pain. That's it. It's not as bad as people. And like you were saying, like, how bad is it? It's not that bad. It's scary, sure. It hurts a little bit, but it's really not that bad once you get going. And it breaks my heart that so many people are just so scared of failure that it holds them back and they'll never achieve the greatness the was destined in their life. If it weren't for fear, I'm pretty sure cancer would be cured already. Like,
Oh,
starvation when, well, I mean, think about it. How many people have great ideas and never pursue them?
yeah, well, that's true. But that's why you need the three elements. You need the focus as well, right? It's the great
Right.
ideas, but just to sort of be a little bit devil's advocate and build on your thing. Yeah, your vision doesn't have to be through your work, right? I know many great people who just do a 9 to 5 so that they can do a vision somewhere else, and it could be
Right.
investing in their family, or but have a vision, have something that makes you passionate. If you're dull in every part of your life, then that's not a great place to be.
Yeah, I guess I did come off that way. I didn't mean to.
Yeah,
Because like I said, like my mom's vision was her kids. It had nothing to do with
yeah,
work. It had nothing to do with
exactly.
anything other than the family unit. And
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah,
And my mom did work a part-time job most of my life, and that's okay. But I'm talking about the people that just meander through life and
yeah,
never have a clear path or clear purpose. And that's what I'm talking about, and it breaks my heart because
yeah. I get that.
they'll
Yeah.
never be truly happy, I guess.
There you go. There you
And
go.
it all goes back to my story. I guess I didn't, when I left the military after 16 years, I hit this really bad wave of depression.
Okay.
And it lasted about 3.5 years because I completely lost my purpose. My entire adult life from the age of 18 was the military. It was my brothers, sisters in the military. It was, going to Iraq, Afghanistan, going, doing these missions, all these things. That was my purpose. And then, in 2017, it got taken away from me, and I completely lost my purpose. I lost my vision. I lost my identity. And so that depression crushed me until I found what I'm doing now. And I'm back on top, baby. And I just, I want to try to convey that to as many people as I
Yeah.
can. Like, as soon as you get your vision, your purpose, like, and I love your formula. I absolutely love it. Because it speaks right into it. Like, once you have that, man, you're soaring, whether it's your personal life, your leading life, your company life, like whatever it is. Like, once you have those things humming, you're unstoppable.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. Unleash it, go forth, and great things will happen.
Awesome. So we're running out of time, Faris.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, my man, for joining me today. Um, and before I let you go, though, all my guests, they get the final word of wisdom, um,
Yeah.
which is my final question is what advice do you have on how people can lead like champions?
I think leading like champions, first of all, what we've talked about, have a vision of what champion means to you. But to unlock really great things as a champion, go forth and here's something. Just listen a little bit more and ask one more question than you normally would. And great
Hmm.
things happen if you do those two things, uh, unlocking IQ, EQ, and FQ. So, yeah, listen for 10% more than you would and ask one more question than you normally would. And just sit back and see the results.
I will translate that into just shut your mouth and listen to what people have to say. Shut up and listen. Right. And I
Yeah.
mean, you're absolutely right. That is great advice. I feel like, man, yeah, this, I won't even get, like, I could rant on that for an hour. People just need to shut up.
We'll save
Um,
that for the next podcast. Yeah, you need to follow that advice. And there's,
right. So, I mean, all right, Ferris, I appreciate you so much, man. Oh, duh, totally forgot. How can people find you and get in touch with you?
Yeah, definitely. Right. I'm gonna fire out two ways they can get in touch with me. So my company is called Shiageto, which is the Japanese word for a sharpening stone. So look up shiageto.com, and I'm sure Stephen, you'll put that in the notes. The
Yep.
other way is come find me on LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time there, disproportionate. There's only one Faris Aranki. on LinkedIn, of which I'm super proud. Come and follow my daily posts and slip me a message. I love chatting about all the topics we talked about, and look forward to hearing from all of you.
Fantastic. And like Faris said, absolutely 100%. I'm going to have all his links in the bio and the description. Whatever platform you're on, you know the rant, they're down below. So go check those out. Go hit him up on LinkedIn. Shoot him whatever questions you have. Get in contact. I truly appreciate it, Faris. Your time, most valuable, man. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, sir.
Thank you to you, Stephen.
All right, everybody. So that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the pod. I'll talk in a second. That's going to wrap up this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Stephen Morris, and he is Faris
Aranki. Yeah.
Nailed it, baby. All right, everybody. I'll see y'all next week. And don't forget, in the meantime, lead like a champion. Goodbye.
How I try to sleep, but you're deep in my mind. Got a hold of me. When I'm awake, I'm all blind.
All right, everybody, that wraps up this week's episode. I got another episode coming out tomorrow because tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, first of all, early Thanksgiving, and then check back again tomorrow after you eat the turkey and you're just kind of chilling, relaxing in between football games or whatever the case may be. Check out the episode tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. I can't, this was one of my favorite all-time guests coming up tomorrow. So make sure you check that out. But anyway, for today, make sure you scroll down to the bottom. All of Faris's links are going to be down there. Make sure you go give him some love. Make sure you go dig into the formula of his. It is just powerful, man. I don't know how we've functioned without really understanding this formula like he explained it. It's going to be life-changing for me. I just know it. And then once you're done doing that, head over to renownedleadership.com. Give me some love. Click the Talk to a Coach Now button at the top middle of the screen. That's going to take you directly to my calendar, and you get to come talk to me for an hour about, your life and getting to where you want your life to be. And we'll see how much value I can add to your life and help you through. So make sure you check that out. And I will see you all tomorrow. If I don't see y'all tomorrow, I will see y'all next week at the regular time. And never forget, in the meantime, lead like a champion. Goodbye, everybody.